time.
Spacecraft test conductor now has completed the status check. Ignition sequence start. 4, 3, 2, 1. Power transfer is complete.
I didn't watch Star Trek, the original series, in the first season before I was on. I mean, I took one look at the styrofoam rocks and I said, forget it, I'm not gonna watch this.
Klingon Horda Jack. It means, can you speak Klingon? You have to give the right answer, otherwise there's dire consequences.
I dance at powwows, and I'm into the Indian way of life and things, and I'm also a Trekker.
It's the greatest feeling in the world, and I do it about 30 to 35 to 40 times a year. To walk out on stage and to feel that love that just pours right out at you. And it's just fans.
I've been a fan. I grew up with it, so I couldn't help but be a fan.
This is the Andorian ambassador, Ed Vark, and I am guard number 48, and this is guard number 28.
That's right.
You have to understand that even now, I still have an ongoing process of trying to grasp all of this, even now.
Name's Douglas Marks. I live in Portland. I've been a fan of Star Trek for a number of years. I mean, I actually started watching it back in the 60s.
You know, I've been in this for 7 years now, and it's starting to become normal.
Star Trek goes country.
In 1987, I auditioned for a show called Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now, I must admit that I went to this audition with some hesitation. I mean, after all, it was a rehash of a cult status sci-fi series, and it had a profound effect on the original cast members' careers. But since I was unknown, unemployed, and unclear as to where any of this was headed, I went. What I didn't know was that I was becoming part of something much larger than just a new TV series. I was becoming part of a phenomenon.
My name is John Paladin. The Klingon name is Kurg.
I'm Harminder Howe from Glasgow, Scotland.
My name is who am I?
You're Lieutenant Commander.
I'm Lieutenant Commander Horatio, and from the starship Battle Queen.
My name's David Silverman. I'm from Central New Jersey.
Canton, Ohio.
San Diego.
Virginia.
Melbourne, Australia.
Biloxi, Mississippi.
Berlin, Germany.
I have fans that write me from Germany, from Italy, from Australia, from England. I've been to conventions in all those places.
How many conventions have you been to?
Probably close to 50 or 60.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you got to have something to do.
This is my third convention.
We've been to probably 20 or 30 or more.
I lost count, you know.
I've been doing this since 1969, so it's, I almost hate to admit, this is my 366th convention this weekend.
I have attended, over the course of about 8 years, 28 conventions. I'm going to be spending this day in preparation to go to the Pasadena Star Trek Babylon 5 convention. I'm going right now to pick up my new tailor-made Star Trek First Contact uniform to wear tomorrow. Hey, Travis.
Hey, Gabriel. How you doing? Come on in.
So Linda dropped it off?
Yes, she did.
This is the uniform to be featured in Star Trek First Contact. Linda Thuringer, our club's captain, and Garrick impersonator Billy outdid herself here, except I do have a couple minor quibbles, like the red stripe here. In the actual movie, it's going to be about half this thickness, but she can change that easily. And the lines running across here are more prominent in the actual versions, but then again, she can just do some top stitching there. She wanted to take the legs down a bit. I don't see why. But overall, fantastic.
This is going to be your car, Gabriel?
I hope so, because 14, I'll be 15 in June. Another year after that, I'll be getting my license.
It's the Roddenberry. I wish I could fly. I'm ready to go to another planet, I'll tell you that much.
Obviously, someone never grew out of the 1960s.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in vans, that's for sure. We're gonna put a laser beam on the front, so when we're driving on a foggy day, we can shoot like a 1,000-foot beam.
My name is Lieutenant Commander Barbara Adams. I'm commanding officer of the USS Artemis, which is the Little Rock unit of the Federation Alliance.
I'm here at the Sci-Fi Convention in Boston, where Federation Alliance has brought some of our things up here. I've come because a lot of people have shown a lot of interest in what I did in going to the trial in my uniform.
I was selected, summoned for the jury for the Whitewater trial in Little Rock, Arkansas.
We've had a lot of curious people asking about the organization and also looking into my drawings, which I do as sort of a hobby. I studied graphic design and I enjoy drawing, and I also enjoy drawing the Star Trek people.
One of our charters in the Federation Alliance is to perform community service. And as commanding officer, I'm the role model for my crew. And so I felt it was necessary and a good decision for me to wear my uniform.
For more than a week, everybody's seen the picture of Barbara Adams.
And each morning, there seemed to be more and more reporters because they were waiting to see if I was going to come in my uniform. And it got to the point where there was just a wall of cameras, tripods, reporters, and I would literally have to walk all the way around them just to get to the door because they would not move. It just got ridiculous.
My brother had a picture of her on our refrigerator for 2 months, walking out of the courtroom in Arkansas.
And one of the newspapers had reported that every day I would walk past the reporters with a Vulcan-like stoicism.
Wow.
So they don't know how close they actually hit the mark, because usually before all this brewed up, I would always come to these conventions and our appearances as a Vulcan. And there was a bus driver that I already met. He kept asking me, what are you going to do? Why do you keep wearing the uniform? What are you going to do if the president comes down to testify? And I said, I'll wear my uniform. He said, but it's the President of the United States. I'll wear my uniform. We came to a stoplight. He turned around and he looked at me. He said, you are a brave woman. Every day, I wear my communicator badge, my rank pips, and my tricorder. To me, as being an officer in the Federation Alliance 24 hours a day, even when I'm not in uniform, I still want that known, that I'm at heart a Starfleet officer.
I used to read about her in the newspaper, and I saw her, and I got her autograph.
Basically, the philosophy behind Star Trek that she is so promoting is the philosophy behind an honest juror.
That's what you need on a juror, is an open-minded person.
Based on the ideals of Star Trek, yeah, I think she'd be an asset.
This is what she wants to do. This is America. I mean, we should be able to do what we want to do. You know, look how we want to look, say what we want to say.
I think she's a pretty neat lady to have the guts to kind of be herself, even on an important thing like being a juror.
You can put on a uniform for football year-round, nobody cares. Basketball year-round, nobody cares. Put on a Star Trek uniform, people get a case of the giggles. I don't want my officers to ever feel ashamed to wear their uniform. And so I went to a civic duty. What we do is community service. I was performing my civic duty. I wore my uniform just as any other officer in the military would wear theirs.
I came to meet the stars. I like to see a different side of the stars, the personal side.
While I was in Florida, Ruth Ann presented me with this belt buckle on my 138th birthday. Now then, every time I see someone, they say, you know, you look so much younger in person.
The first one that I did, I think was around 72. I got a call to come to New York. They had done one convention first, and I think that it wasn't really a convention. They got together with about 35 or 40 or 50, the way I heard this story, of fans of Star Trek that just wanted to get together and talk about the show, which they did.
And they said, you know, why don't we put our money together and rent a hotel ballroom?
And talk about our mutual interests and show each other what we have collected so far in the way of tapes or paraphernalia or photographs.
If we could get 300 people to attend, we could pay for it.
And I thought, they're inviting me to New York? They said they're willing to pay expenses and, you know, fly me there and put me up in a hotel. I thought, these people are foolish.
And there was something like, I think there were around 3,000 or 4,000 people showed up. And it was absolutely wild then. They had to call the fire department into the hotel to let them in increments.
Everything came to a dead stop. It was jam-packed with humanity. The revolving doors couldn't revolve. The escalators refused to operate anymore. The elevators stopped working.
And the din out there indicated it was more than 30 people. The woman went on stage and introduced me, and I stepped out, and the place exploded in applause.
And then they were hanging out of the balcony. It was like a bunch of overage Beatles for us, you know, of me being there.
There was hardly a chance to speak because every word created a roar. Every time somebody opened their mouth to say hello, it created a roar, a wall of emotional sound hit you. And we were all kind of taken aback and moved and touched by it because there was this tremendous affection.
And now there is a Star Trek convention. There are Star Trek conventions somewhere every weekend all over the world.
Hi there. Could I have a schedule, please? Majel. Definitely got to see Majel.
She's on stage right now.
She's on stage now?
Oh. But you're gonna love it. It's Jane's story and Jane's script and it's Jane's pilot.
What time is the auction today? I don't see it here.
2:20 this afternoon.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, this was worn by John Colicos in which episode?
Blood
Oath. Blood Oath. And this is the turtle, as they call it. Michael Dorn calls it the Great Turtle.
Turtle head, there's speed bumps, there's Whoopi Goldberg says old intestine head, and the other one I heard is Rocky Mountains. That's the latest one.
Here is the opening bid for this, $500. $500. We've got a $500 bid, and it's there. To a Klingon. 550. 600. 600. Do I hear 650? 650. $1,000. $1,100. What? 1,200? Yeah. 1,200. Okay, $1,200. $1,200. $1,300. $1,400. Going once. $1,400. Going twice. $1,400. Sold at a bargain.
I was bidding on the headpiece, and the price started getting up to the point where I really wasn't interested in paying that much.
That Klingon really wanted it.
He really wanted that headpiece, yes.
So how badly did you want it?
I wouldn't have left without it. It's a little bit of history that I'll preserve. I collect the items when I can get them, and they're wonderful to have. They're definitely one-of-a-kind items.
Everything we touch, whether it be a little piece of hair or a nose or something small, because there's a whole cult market out there where a lot of the pieces sell for hundreds and thousands of dollars. What we see in these rooms is literally could run into the millions if there was, if we opened up a market on the outside of it. So we're very guarded. Everything we keep under lock and key.
Unfortunately, John Delancey couldn't make it to the show this weekend due to professional commitments. We do have an autograph here. Looking for. Well, the Q virus was the most bizarre thing. John Delancey, who plays Q, he barely made it to the convention. He was really sick. I mean, very ill, dizzy, questioned whether he was going to go on stage, but he's a real trooper. And he went up on stage and did his show, and he left his water glass and held up the glass, and I said, who would be interested in purchasing the Q virus? And it was kind of a joke, but the crowd just went absolutely crazy. They went bonkers for the thing. So I went ahead and auctioned off the glass, and it went for, I don't know, $40, $60 or something like this. And a guy bought it, and he came up at the end, and I said, look, it was half full still. I said, look, you don't want to drink this. He's very sick. I mean, he's very, very ill. Oh, no, I want to drink it, And he downed the whole glass right there, and he yelled out, I've got the Q virus, I've got the Q virus. And he's planning to spread it all over the world. That was his thing.
I was walking down the street in New York, and I caught somebody coming towards me. He said, are you Q? I said, yeah. Can you bring people back from the dead? And I went, only people I like. He goes, cool, and walked on.
There was a fan who, in 1973 in New York, came up to Jimmy Doohan, who I was with, and pulled out a box that had a hypodermic in it, and asked Jimmy if he could get a sample of his blood.
A woman stood up in one of the conventions and said, what's it feel like to be beamed?
20 years later, he was at a convention in New York, and the same young man came up to him with the same box, with the same hypodermic, and said, Mr. Doohan, can I get a sample of your blood? He was still doing the same thing 20 years later.
There's one gentleman who, for about 10 years? Almost the whole run of since the beginning of The Next Generation, has been sending something in the mail every day to Star Trek. Every day. The funny thing is, it has nothing to do with Star Trek. He sends us travel brochures. And that's all he sends. And postcards talking about where he travels, or sometimes he describes, well, look at this one. We've got a Victoria's Secret catalog that he sent. Something about a mission. A fruit, trees, and landscaping catalog. Caribbean, Hawaii, Canada, Australia. He also will sometimes send postcards talking about what he had for lunch that day, or what he ate, or how many cups of coffee he drank. And it's always to Star Trek, but it's never about Star Trek. And we always wondered about this guy. Who is he, where's he from, and why is he sending us these things? And if over 10 years every day, that's quite a few packages.
All right, go please.
Thank you, BC. Exactly. Okay, here we go, please.
Rolling.
Order. And action, please.
Maybe you didn't read the crew roster, but my name is Dax, and I'm the new science officer on this garbage scow, and you were in my seat.
And cut. Very nice.
There was a young man who was confined to a wheelchair, and his name was Jordan LaForge.
The young man was given 6 months to a year to live, and he attributes the fact that he lived for many years after his prognosis to the fact that he watched Star Trek.
Finally, when he did pass away, Gene just thought that having somebody in that place, as Geordi, would be a perfect example, a perfect sort of a nice thing to do in memory of him.
Originally, Geordi was the pilot of the ship, so he wanted the pilot to be, the blind man, and the blind man is the one that's flying the ship.
I watched the original series with my mother and brother when I was a kid, and I enjoyed it. At this point, I enjoy his enthusiasm more. I enjoy the shows. I enjoy the conventions. I like dressing up. I love dressing her up. But I enjoy his fanaticism. It's contagious.
And what makes you a fanatic as opposed to a fan?
I think the fact that I'm so much into it, I do a lot of collecting, I relate to so much of it, I know a lot about it. It's more than just a casual, I enjoy the show, I enjoy the concept, I'm really into it. This is the Trek room. This is, my room. I can design it the way I want. I can put what I want in it.
Although you do notice it's spilling out into the other areas of the house.
Yes. This is the bathroom, and we've carried the Trek theme in here. Have our Starfleet towel set. And all of our Federation blue tile here, we offset it with these 3 hand-painted Trek tiles. The planets, the Enterprise, and one of the Enemy.
We asked whether we might visit Cape Canaveral, Nichelle and I, and we peered in one of the portholes, and there were astronauts working in that. They turned around and looked, and they recognized our 2 faces peering in at them, and you should have seen their eyes light up, and they came scrambling out of that place, and the first thing they did was, ask us, can we have your autographs, please? We went there to get their autographs, and they, in turn, were asking us for ours.
Star Trek came along at a time when I think the public was really kind of hungry for that sort of adventure, and it went a long ways toward stimulating a lot of interest into the space program.
Star Trek is a cultural icon, and it's part of the lexicon now. As a psychotherapist, I have Star Trek stuff in my office, and I use Star Trek metaphors that everyone understands, even if they're not a fan. For example, when I talk about people having a defensive reaction, I talk about the shields going up. And everyone knows what that means, even if they're not a fan.
The front part of my office, that is the part that the patients see, is pretty straightforward surgical office. My own private consulting room is just filled with Star Trek stuff.
I'm Dennis Borgenon. This is my son, Doug, my wife, Shelley, and my daughter, Kayla.
We're here in Orlando, Florida, at the dental offices of Dr. Dennis Borgenon.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Pleasure to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome to Starbase Dental. We originally decided that we wanted to go with Star Trek because we find that Star Trek, the episodes are always geared with a moral. They're good doers. And we wanted to portray dentistry or dentists as good doers.
So, this is reception?
Yes, this is reception. This is where the patients check in. This is our holodeck over here on the left. This is where I do most of my work. It's where I get fillings, crowns, dentures, things like that. We were just in a sci-fi store one day, Shelley and I, and we kind of looked at each other and we said, hey,
you
thinking what I'm thinking? And we said, let's try it. 2 weeks later, we just closed down the office over the weekend. We bought up everything we could find, and boom, we did a Starbase Dental. You can see our transporters up in the ceiling over here, transport you away from here while we're working on you. These are some nice pieces over here. These are my cement handprints of some of the stars. They're about James Doohan size.
No, wait,
He's missing a
there's
finger.
a finger missing.
A gardening
I
accident.
never knew that.
This is the first theme office I worked in. I really like it. It's neat. It's fun to come to work.
Yeah, it's different to come to work. You don't know what's going to be around every
You
morning.
bring something different in all the time.
Every morning you come in, you wonder, well, what's going to be on these walls that wasn't here before?
The uniform I wouldn't do at first. I told him no, that wasn't possible for me.
And you how long did you hold out?
About almost a year. Almost a year before I was the last one to put it on.
What made you finally turn the corner?
He told me I had to.
She cried a few times.
He told me I had to.
We actually dress up like this at home, and we take turns being different characters, and it helps our
Relationship, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I was going out with different people.
Really? Yeah. I haven't done you yet because I'm not tall enough, so he usually puts a wig on. He has to portray you. And then I have to be Data. Or Quark.
Yeah, Quark. Sometimes Quark.
And how do the patients respond?
Most of them like it.
I think the Star Trek theme in the dentist office is great. It takes your mind off where you really are.
It's not like any other dentist office I've ever been in, that's for sure.
Most people, even if they don't like Star Trek, like the idea of it. I've only had one person who didn't like the idea, but he wasn't happy about his bill in the first place, so. Good afternoon, Preston. How you doing?
Hey, Dennis, how are you?
Good to see you. Come on back. Let's go ahead and get you going here. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Number 2, occlusa lingua. Number 3, crown. Shelley and I started in another office at about the same time, and Shelley started as the front desk receptionist. And after about a while, she liked dentistry so much, she just decided she wanted to maybe assist, so I brought her back, and I taught her to assist. And we worked very well together, so we decided to make it a bond for life, and we're together now forever.
I'm dressed as a NASA astronaut that was actually killed, that they investigated the death of in an episode called The Royale of The Next Generation. At least that was the original idea. And then I kind of moved on. Kind of character developed it a little bit. Instead of it being him, it's his wife.
So what is your interest in Star Trek?
Mainly Brent Spiner, Lieutenant Commander Data on The Next Generation, as you well know.
Yes, I know him well. Now, you guys call yourself?
Spiner Femmes.
Spiner Femmes.
Yes.
Spiner Femmes?
Uh-huh.
I like that.
It's good, isn't it?
Spiner Femmes.
Yeah.
I think there's a series in that.
This is my Brent page. When I find out that somebody else has discovered Brent through my web page, I feel really good about it. I feel, yes, another fan here. Let other people outside of the Star Trek universe know who he is. He's not just Data. This is where I keep, right down here, I keep all the important collectibles. Got videos, t-shirts, mugs, the important stuff. If there's an earthquake, a fire, I want this stuff to be intact. This is my photo album. These are more convention photos and more convention photos and even more convention photos, and it goes on for days now. These ones, I always put them in so they're all facing the same order. Once I get through with these, then it switches to the ones this way. Saves having to turn the photo album every 2 minutes. Palm Springs Convention. This is actually, I took over 100 pictures at the Palm Springs Convention, and when I got them back, I took a picture of all the pictures I took. A lot of these are enlargements of convention photos. I had a calendar made up one year for a couple of friends for Christmas presents. That's my back right there. I gave him, it was a Texas stamp they issued, and they issued a sheet that told the background of Texas and all that. I ordered it from the post office and framed it for him since he's from Texas.
I don't get much stuff anymore because I've sort of let it be known when I've done conventions and stuff that it wasn't necessary and it wasn't really a good idea because the people should be spending their money on me. You know, I mean, I tried to express that we do okay, you know, and that they should really, you know, save their money.
It's not about the money. It gives me a good feeling. I like to do that for my friends, too. If I can find something unusual, I like to get unusual gifts for people. After I lived here about a year and I found out where Brent lived, and I realized I could just see, I can't see his house, but I can see the hill, the top of the hill that he lives at the bottom of, from the balcony. And so when I'm stressed out, I come out here sometimes, just sit out here for a few minutes and take what I call a Brent break and just kind of gaze off in that direction and daydream for a little while.
What are some of your favorite things that you like to do at conventions?
Ever heard of filking?
No, tell me what that is.
Science fiction folk singing.
Could you explain that?
Well, actually, I could give you an example.
Perfect.
Episode of original series called Space Seed, which was the launching for the second movie, The Wrath of Khan. There is a song. The song is called Vow of Vengeance. It's Khan's vow. Let's see. The summer sunlight, the howling at night, the blood of friends spilled on the sand. Amidst and quick death, she breathes her last breath and dies as I cling to her hand. Mere mortals you be, the truth you can see. You think you have right, but it's been a while since I've seen it. You think that...
Action. An alliance with the Borg?
More like an exchange. If we teach the Borg how to modify their own nanoprobes, they'd have a blueprint to create a weapon to fight the aliens.
Cut.
When I am asked to go to a hospital, it's a specific boy. And he's not going to be there the next time I go to that hospital. And it means a great deal to him that I be honest with him in that hour that we share together. You know? That can change your life.
There's a woman who was almost totally paralyzed, and she was able to just kind of, with the help of an interpreter, say, for the hour that you are on, meaning Star Trek is on, I forget the body that I am imprisoned in.
I got a fan letter from a young lady. It was a suicide note. So I called her. I said, hey, this is Jimmy doing Scotty of Star Trek. I said, I'm doing a convention in Indianapolis. I want to see you there. I saw her. Boy, I'm telling you, I couldn't believe what I saw. It was definitely suicide. You know, somebody had to help her somehow. You know, and obviously she wasn't going to the right people, you know. Anyhow, I said to her, I said, I'm doing a convention 2 weeks from now in St. Louis. And 2 weeks from then in something, you know, and then eventually she also came to New York. She was able to afford to go to these places and everything else. So, and then that went on for 2 or 3 years. Maybe 18 times. And all I did was talk positive things to her. And then all of a sudden, nothing. I didn't hear anything. And I had no idea what was happening because I really never saved her address, right? 8 years later, I get a letter saying, I do want to thank you so much for what you did for me, because I just got my master's degree in electronic engineering. You know, that's, to me, the best thing I've ever done in my life. And it brings tears to my eyes every time I even talk about the story.
Over a period of several years, we've raised several $100,000 for these 3 charities. This is what Star Trek does. Star Trek is part entertainment, part philosophy, and this part of Star Trek goes unnoticed to most of the public.
I have a question. Have you thought about actually talking to school teachers? I'm a school teacher, and talking to schools and getting them to talk to the kids about it.
Can you help us organize that?
Sure. I teach kindergarten, so sometimes it's a little hard for them to grasp the concept of racial diversity and ethnic diversity. So if you have a show like Star Trek that shows a bunch of different aliens and a bunch of different colored people and different types of people all getting along, it works wonderfully to illustrate that point.
Star Trek has changed the way that I teach science, specifically space science, by giving children an immediate frame of reference that they know of, that they can get excited about. It just inspires their imagination.
This is something we've been excited about because it's carried on. Having Kate Mulgrew portray the captain on the Voyager.
They feel that it's the first time that they can sit down as a family and view a woman in a leadership role as a family, without having to carry on a conversation about who's being victimized or what does she stand for.
She is so obviously a woman of authority and strength, but she's not a witch with a capital B. You know, she's just a person in authority.
I get a great deal of mail from women who say that they watch Voyager with their daughters and how good it makes them feel to be able to point to the screen and say, see, you can be anything.
And what do you want to do when you grow up?
Be an astronaut.
May Carol Jemison, first African-American woman in space. She flew on the shuttle, became a scientist first, and then an astronaut because she saw Nichelle Nichols on the original Star Trek series and said, you know what? That's for me.
There were 2 little girls, around 9 years old, 8 years old, when Star Trek first came on. And one of them told me years later, I looked on that television and I saw you. I saw this black lady. And I ran through the house screaming, come quick, come quick. There's a black lady on television and she ain't no maid. And she said, I knew right then and there I could be anybody I wanted to be. I could be anything I wanted to be. And so she decided to be a superstar. And her name is Whoopi Goldberg.
I'm Joyce Mason.
And I'm Evelyn DiBiase.
And we host a radio show called Talk, Trek, and Beyond. The way it got started was we were on a lunch hour one time at work, and we thought about Trek, talking Trek. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, something we do a lot of. So we decided it would be a great radio show. How do you do it? Well, I called up the directory assistants on the phone, and I asked for the telephone number of a radio station. And she asked me...
Which one do you want?
I didn't know, so I said, pick one. And she
Anything.
did. She picked out this radio station, KAV. We packed up our things, went over. 2 weeks later, we were on the air.
First time?
It was 7 years ago.
And we're still on the air.
And it's been a lot of fun. We didn't have
as
the
we were.
foggiest idea what we were doing that first night, and we still don't.
The convention on the air.
Evening, Gentle Bees. How are we all doing tonight? Welcome to Talk, Trek, and Beyond. This is Joyce. We're delighted to be with you. We're going to have a good time tonight. We have a very special guest with us.
Yes.
Denise Crosby. Denise Crosby! Hey, guys, are you ready? I know that our listeners are just dying to talk to you.
Hey, John in Portland, Oregon on line 1.
Hey, Portland.
Yes, hi, you guys.
Good, how are you?
Hi, Denise.
Hi, John.
One thing I'd like to say that without Skin of Evil, there could have been no Yesterday's Enterprise.
Right, exactly. There's some irony in that, isn't there?
Yes.
I mean, I always felt that I had to die and get off the show to get the best episode.
So I love this, being able to talk to you like this, because when the show originally aired, my father passed away.
I'm
and
sorry.
the weird thing about it was the friends that were there, a lot of them were Trek fans and were around me at the time. And we sat down and watched that episode. The strangest thing about it was, by the time it got to the end and the holographic message and the whole thing, it actually helped me a great deal. And here I get to thank you personally, which I did appreciate it. I still do.
John, I'm really touched.
I think so many times that people don't realize just how important a show can be. It can destroy you, or it can, as in a case like this, give you a tremendous amount of comfort.
Oh, yes. Between the ending and the holographic imaging and the clouds and everything, it was just exactly what I needed at the time.
John, I don't know how to say thank you for that tonight.
You know,
For sharing that with
I
us.
thank you for Talk Trek.
You're welcome. Thank you for being with us, my friend.
There's nothing like a bunch of Trek people getting together someplace and just sitting and talking. They'll go for 24 hours or more.
And that's why it's called Talk Trek rather than Trek Talk, because it's not just a matter of talking about Trek, but rather it's a whole universe within itself. Just like people talk French and talk German, we talk Trek.
So what does your bathtub look like at the end of the day?
It looks very green. Trust me on that.
Who's your favorite captain?
Have to be Captain Kirk.
Captain Picard.
Oh, I'm kind of a Kirk fan.
I like Kirk because he was the first captain.
The original, the prototype for everything else that came along afterwards.
Absolutely, Kirk.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Picard.
Picard.
Now, there's a very handsome man. That's a very handsome man, Captain Picard.
Who's your favorite captain?
Data.
Well, Data's not a captain.
No, I don't like gay captains.
Who's gonna be Captain Kirk? Come on, come on. He's a stud.
I could almost say Janeway.
Janeway's a stud too, but...
Janeway.
Janeway.
I'd probably say split between Janeway and Kirk.
Kirk. I like Avery Brooks too, but that's because he's cute.
Who's your favorite captain?
I am.
I couldn't pick one captain over another.
The emissary.
The emissary is definitely the most important. He is most important. But to place the others above the emissary would not be right.
When I got the job, everybody said, oh, the Trekkers, the Trekkies. Well, in fact, they're very smart. One has to be smart to connect science with the imagination.
That's what's really interesting to me, that a show could have fans that span and bridge every sort of classification.
Stephen Hawking and Mel Brooks and Dr. Marvin Minsky, who's head of the robotics department at MIT, or the Mercury astronauts.
Accountants, these are lawyers, these are people who just really, really enjoyed the program.
There's this preconceived notion that they are a peculiar bunch of people, I don't think I've ever met anyone, Star Trek fan or not who wasn't peculiar. I mean, we're all peculiar, aren't we?
The word fan actually is an abbreviated form of fanatic. And there are some people who fit that category, who are the people who really do need to get a life. But most fans are pretty normal people who have a hobby, who have a sense of the desire to escape. And, you know, they know it's a show, and you know, nobody really gets lost in it, but it's just fun.
We are the largest ship in the San Diego area. We do a lot of community service. We go and visit abused children in hospitals, and we work fairs, and we're having a miniature golf tournament in 2 weeks. And
dressed as Klingons?
Yes.
You play miniature golf dressed as Klingons?
Yes. Yes, we're going to donate the money to charity.
My name is Marco Krend, and what I've done is develop the Klingon language for Star Trek.
Nugnech, our only greeting, translates quite literally to what do you want?
When they played Klingon softball, I never devised words for, you know, you're out, you're safe, something like that. So they had to improvise. And the way they improvise is, you're dead, you're alive, which works just as well.
I like the way Klingons believe, the code of ethics and honor. What I've done is turn around and tattooed Klingon insignia. It took me about 2.5 hours of work with a homemade pen to get it inked in.
This is a Klingon disruptor pistol. 2 basic settings. This is the stun, that's the stun setting. Never have I heard it been used in Star Trek.
Not only has Klingon been spoken just in the movies, it turns out that people like to speak the language, people like to learn the language.
The Klingon language camp is something that we've been having for the last 4 years. It's a summer program for people to learn the language and customs of the culture. Klingon hol.
Klingon hol.
Klingon hol de jack. Ah.
Klingon hol de jack.
Marge.
How do you say kill?
Hoch, 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 hoch. Je hoch, 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 maar hoch, maar hoch.
Koi pupe pu, mapo yapo yeshui, shemak shuv meu, mashuv malong, emacho chu, a shevek macho pa pa.
They just came out with the first full edition in Klingon of Hamlet. They're working on translating the Bible. There's a team of scholars doing this, and they've translated the theme song to Sesame Street, the theme song to Gilligan's Island.
Klingons are really popular.
Klingons are very popular.
It's an interesting phenomenon. I mean...
And you said that with a straight face.
Klingons are popular because they're fun. Klingons allow us as non-Klingons to express a certain aspect of our personality, I think, that we're not allowed to do in public.
I want to get the sour creams and chives potato.
Do you like cheese on a superstar or without? Without cheese, this combo? Okay. Would you like the super size for 39 cents? More is cantular fries and our drink. 9.56.
16 to go, please. 16.
Have you ever served a Klingon before?
Yes.
You've served Klingons before?
Yes.
When I was 6 years old, January of 1989, I attended my first convention, and here is a picture from it.
One day, I was at home, and I get a phone call, and Gabriel at the time was 6 years old. And the school calls me up and says, would you please come and pick up your son? And I said, well, what's the matter? Is he hurt or what? They said, no, he happens to be wearing his Star Trek uniform and his pointed Spock ears and full makeup, and I don't think this is the right attire for him to wear at school.
It was a Catholic school, too.
So they made me come and pick him up, which I thought was pretty funny. And it took him years before he really could comprehend that he wasn't supposed to go to school like that. But that's the way life is when you're 6 years old.
Wearing my plaid pants and tie.
Another interesting thing that...
Oh, for God's sakes, I'll get that.
You're the one that told me that...
Hello? Okay. Peter, this is the worst time you could have called. Go away! Okay, bye. Okay, here we go. Around this entire section here, we have my collection of autographed Star Trek action figures. And over here, I have the collection of the 4 captains. This Cisco here might look a bit messy because I shaved it with an X-Acto knife because of his new look this season and painted on a goatee with model paint. Over here, I put up somewhat of a chart with my data illustrating the evolution of the uniforms in the past few years. We start out here with data in the second season Lycra jumpsuit, which I heard caused the male actors' back problems. Then the 3rd through 7th season two-piece uniform, and then the Generations jumpsuit version, and now the gray-shouldered First Contact garbs, which of course I am wearing now.
I normally dress up as Data. One lady thought that I was Data and came up to me, and she had her baby, and she was like, will you touch my baby?
I've been asked to bless people.
One wanted me to sign the interior of his car.
To marry people.
Oh, wow, he touched my baby, he touched my baby. And she runs off screaming in the halls.
One wanted me to help him ease his way into death. It was an odd request.
Maybe we should have told her that I wasn't Data.
It's a beautiful day. The UFOs fly away. It's a beautiful day.
The Mark and Brown radio program, 95.5 KLOS.
All right, now there is a Star Trek convention in town this weekend. A lot of Trekkies are here. They're coming from all over the world. In celebration of that group of people in town, we, Mark and Brian, now give you the Star Trek theme.
Here we go. I'm a little dizzy now.
All right, we'll take a commercial break and return.
Do you have a favorite episode?
The original? Well, of course.
The original.
Okay. Oh, okay, mister. See, he shouldn't even be in this. He doesn't even dig Star Trek.
I like Star Trek. I like it fun.
No, you're like, who are those guys with the pointy ears? Star Trek's a way of life, man. It's a good way of life. It teaches us all.
This background here that you see was rendered by me. It is the Nemesis Station from Star Station Nemesis, the film project that our club is working on at the moment. This is the screenplay in its computer form. This program is where it was written and where all the modifications were made. This script is basically the backstory that they've conceived for the club. And then I translated the outline we wrote into the 172-page screenplay. What you're about to see here are some of the fledgling opticals I've created. As you can see, there's a considerable amount of detail that went into it. But this is a pan-up shot that I did. And as you can see, there's a little flickering around there that I'm trying to get rid of. One thing that I've been tinkering around with is a Romulan Armada shot. I rendered this sequence in 2 parts. This is the logo for the trailer for the movie that we're putting together, the show at not this coming meeting, but the next one.
Gabriel and Travis, our communications officer, came up with the idea to start making a movie for our club. Gabriel designed some new uniforms specifically for the movie.
Oh.
For your approval.
There's yours. Now,
Still in process.
now you have to decide which one you're going to wear tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be a tough choice. Wow. This costume is the uniform that I've designed. It came out of about 50 conceptual sketches, and this is my favorite of them from the film project that I'm working on. And it should be noted that this is only a prototypical version. And the collar on the completed version will be come to about here, but she kind of cut short the collar a bit, and it'll have shoulder pads, and it'll be all wool. This has some wool components and some polyester components, and overall I think the first version looks nice.
I've got a friend of mine that does custom tailoring, so he does all my uniforms for me. I have a dress uniform. I've got just like a couple of the regular t-shirt tops and things like that, and then this is one of the jumpsuits.
This is normal attire for me.
We don't feel like we look any different than anyone else anymore because we've been doing it for so long.
In fact, sometimes, well, after work, I'll be leaving and I'll have my uniform on. People will be staring at me, and I'm like, what are they staring at me for? To me, it's just natural.
I go out a lot of times in the uniform, and I find it a pretty positive thing. I sometimes get people that They'll give me a smile, they'll say something, or give me a Star Trek Vulcan salute. I've never had a negative experience, and I enjoy it. On a couple of occasions, I've had people ask me something about, well, how long are you going to do this, or why do you do all this? Don't you have a life for real? And this is part of my life for real. Hey, Steve.
How you doing?
All right. How are you today?
All right.
Good. As long as I'm able to do it, I'm going to do it. Doesn't hurt anybody, makes a lot of people feel good, and I think that's sort of the point of things.
I'm going inside now to some of my favorite stores to search for new Star Trek memorabilia, hard-to-get action figures, and the like. You know, I spend around maybe $300 to $400 a year on Star Trek merchandise, but if I could, I'd spend a lot more, about way over $1,000.
The reality is, Star Trek fans devote more time, energy, and finance to their object of affection than any other group of people in the world.
I'm a diehard Star Trek fan, and I'm going all over the country trying to get everything I can before I die of Star Trek.
Well, this is the Data Redemption, the red Playmates doll, the one that's very rare and valuable, and I got it for $25 at a convention, and now they're going for $250, $300, which, not that I'll ever sell mine, it's not for sale.
These dolls and things all have numbers on their feet, and they look for the lowest number.
I'm about to do a valuable trade for these two figures from the Huntsville, Alabama convention that go for about $100 a piece because they were limited to only 10,000 for the equally rare Thomas Riker figure because I'm getting the better end of the deal because the production number was a bit lower and it goes for considerably more on the secondary market than this set. And these are from the convention? These are from Huntsville. Huntsville, that's the only place you can get these, huh? Yep, and some were numbered over 10,000, but that was a mistake. They used parts from another figure.
Ah, interesting. Thank you.
Those are actually the legs from the Cage Spocks. Okay.
How do you know all that?
I'm on the internet.
I'm keeping those for myself.
My folks used to get really mad because I just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it all the time, loving all the wonderful Star Trek stuff. And here I am now, 27 years old, and I still collect all these things. And I love it just as much. The Super Phaser Target game. This was pretty hip for the early 70s. The Star Trek, the motion picture, the pop-up book. These were the hottest thing when I was a kid. Taco Bell was running this special, and these are Star Trek 1984 drinking glasses. And in 1989, they came out with Star Trek V, and they had this special offer where you could send for your futuristic marshmallow dispenser. So I went ahead and I sent for this thing, and here we go. It's still intact. It's like mint in a bag. All this stuff has like overtaken my house in such a big way. One of my goals is to actually build like a great big shelf where I could actually display it. That would be kind of neat.
When we first started doing the Star Trek cruises, the fans came because they wanted to have quality time with the stars. Each fan has their picture taken with all of the stars and Star Trek guest celebrities around them.
Tell me about the passport.
It looks like a U.S. passport, but obviously it says United Federation of Planets, and we filled it out. It's sort of a thing you pick up at the conventions. I went to Honduras and Belize, and they just stamped me in. In fact, I even have one scary. U.S. immigration, February 7th, 1994, they stamped me in.
Coming is Jimmy doing Scotty's director's chair. It's my wife is flying in with that today, and
that'll be for sale?
Yes, that's for sale. Here's the sign. We have the sign.
And
We
that's
have
worth
the
what?
chair. $375.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if it's worth that. We put a price on it. We hope it's worth that. I don't know. It's hard to put a price on something like that, though, really. It's probably worth $1 million.
Whatever you collect, you can usually find it at conventions.
At a typical convention, you'll find a plethora of dealer tables selling a variety of Star Trek merchandise. Over here we have some gorgeous cardboard stand-ups. Really must pick up one of these. A nice collection of the various novels, and there is a set of the figures right there I just traded. Star Trek ship diagrams and blueprints, Star Trek-related bookmarks, Star Trek-related jewelry, Star Trek uniform adornments, Star Trek software, plates, CDs, lithographs, calendars, phasers, a good deal of the model kits. I always love buying and building the model kits. I've just been putting the finishing touches on Voyager here, of course. The nacelles fold, as you see on the series. One little problem here is this is coming apart there. I don't think the Voyager is supposed to have saucer step capability.
I became a dealer because when I was younger, I read a few too many Conan books, and I started to get interested in swords and armor, and learned how to make armor, and got interested in weaponry. And then we went to gun shows, and we used to carry the armor on the table. Then in about 1991, they came out with the 25th anniversary Star Trek cards, and I got all excited and went down and bought a few too many boxes and broke them all for sets, and I got my sets, and then I had all these sets left over, so we took them to the gun show, and I put them next to the armor, and then all of them disappeared, and they started asking me for one of these and one of those, and the armor started moving farther and farther off the edge of the table, and now it's on the floor, and these and those have taken over everything.
I'm working now with a company that is doing cookie jars, their 30th anniversary Star Trek cookie jars.
I've collected 759 autographs in about 5 years of the Star Trek characters.
This is going to be kind of like Christmas, ripping open all these packages and stuff.
She just got me hooked on the cards. I've just become addicted. But
All you have to do is buy one.
You just buy one pack and you're automatically addicted.
I've been in printing now for 11 years. I work in the bindery department.
A lot of people do think she's strange, and they'll say, well, what kind of person is she, really? And honestly, she's very well-educated and intelligent. She takes her job responsibilities very seriously. She's a good worker. But I think a lot of people would think she's not very intelligent, whereas really she is.
Bobby is a little bit eccentric, but it's a good quality kind of eccentricity.
The customers do think it's a little bit strange sometimes, but they get a kick out of it.
Everyone's got their quirks, and we just work around and with those.
When I first came into the shop, I was going around meeting everyone and getting names, and got to Bobby, and they said, this is the commander.
Commander, do we have enough for that 80-pound rich claws for Tippin's calendar? 23 by 35? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Which job, Jackie?
When she first came to work here and I called her girlfriend, she made some comment that she didn't really like that. And I said, well, what would you prefer I call you?
I said, my rank is commander. I'm a lieutenant commander. She said, oh, commander. That's what I'll call you.
When I asked her why, she started telling me about the Star Trek that she was into big time. And she was commander of some spaceship here locally.
Did she explain what these things were that she was wearing?
Yes, but don't ask me what they are. One's a phaser, and it beams her up, and the other's something else.
I've never gotten any negative response from it. Some of our customers, especially since the trial, I think, recognize me, but they don't usually say anything.
Has it encouraged you to watch Star Trek some more?
Actually, yes. Actually, yes. I seldom ever watch
Only because you
Star
won't
Trek.
understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I seldom ever.
And I'm really not a Star Trek fan, but I get into it because she's into it.
My favorite fan letter I opened it up, and there was a marijuana cigarette glued to a piece of cardboard and a photo of a very delightful-looking young girl. And she said, you have turned me on so many times, I thought I would return the favor. I capped that one.
I've saved some pretty great stuff the fans have sent me. These are ink drawings. Chekhov, Captain Picard, Saavik, Dr. Crusher. A woman named Jean Kluge. She drew me in a kind of Davy Crockett motif. This is from Blowing Rock, North Carolina. Tasha and Sela together again. This is kind of King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table motif. Sela looking tough. A lot of times kids send me things. Nice lucite box they send it to me in. This is Tasha done in needlepoint. It is, I think, my favorite. This is a very imaginative pose. At first, I gotta tell you, I was actually shocked. And then I kind of really have grown to appreciate it.
What was weird to me when I saw the first one was not just how they got my naked body perfect. I mean, it was just a perfect rendition. But yours was almost specific. I mean, it was... Are you filming?
Star Trek is unique in that we are the only television show that has an open script submission policy. We will take scripts from anyone in the world. I once had a fan come in dressed in a Starfleet uniform who was calling himself Ensign Jones. And all of his stories, of course, had to do with Ensign Jones taking control of the Enterprise, or Ensign Jones goes to the Klingon homeworld, or, stuff like that. Ensign Jones travels through time.
I write in the original Trek genre, involving the characters of Kirk and Spock.
I write Slash that appears on the internet.
You're talking about the KS zines.
The Kirk-Spock fetish groups.
The term means one character with another, like Kirk/Spock.
We thought that either Gene or the studio would put a stop to it, but the studio never really seemed to care, because we're talking very small circulations.
We're all very normal ladies, mostly housewives.
Who want to read sexual stories about Kirk and Spock, but don't want to see them with other women.
The mailing list I'm on is completely anonymous.
Why is it important that your identity not be revealed?
Because of the controversial nature, we're living in a culture that isn't as progressive, so it's important to avoid censure.
I write The Secret Logs of Mistress Janeway.
This is a story about Mistress Janeway and how she ties up Ensign Kim and beats Tuvok with a riding crop. That was rather interesting.
A fan made this. He sculpted it out of an X-Men figure, repainted it, complete with a whip, cat o' nine tails, handcuffs.
Another fan wrote a Klingon sex manual. There's no such thing as safe sex in Klingon. How to tell if your daughter is seeing a Klingon. Meeting your Klingon, initiating the mating ritual.
Worf and I went up and I pushed him, he pushed me back, we started wrestling. And it's understood that that is part of the Klingon culture. The female pushing a man or slapping a man is considered like, hey, I want to go out with you, I find you attractive.
I don't have it with me anymore, I threw it away, but they had made from latex a Klingon condom. It was ridged, had like big ridges and stuff.
There are now thousands of KS scenes out there. It's way too late to stop it.
My name is Daryl Frazzetti, this is Bones, and we've gone to about a dozen Star Trek conventions together. I do that with him mainly because he enters the costume contests, and it's something fun for both of us to do together. We have a lot of fun doing it with the people we meet. He's got his little med kit right here, his props. This is the original Trek scrub top, and this is the science insignia, and his DeForest Kelley pin that he always wears for luck. We're probably bigger classic Trek fans than any of the other shows, and DeForest Kelley happens to be our favorite actor. He will sit there and he'll watch television. Some cats will sit there and watch television. Some of them actually even respond to the phasers or some of the ships going by on the screen as well.
We're here for this convention, and we're old friends who met because of Star Trek, and we're having a 13-year reunion. First time we've been together, the four of us, in 13 years.
We're so divergent in personality and backgrounds and our family styles and everything, and yet we have this common thread of Star Trek, which keeps us, together.
Remember when the first convention we went to, we've forgotten what it was like. We were at the convention and we were all accepted. And when we left and we went back home, we had to act normal again.
I think if there's one thing in this world that I would take to my grave with me forever is the fans. They are so loving and they are so warm and they are so tender. And if you go someplace like into a convention and you don't have any friends there, you don't know anybody there, you really do. Because they're all thinking somewhere along the line, they're thinking like you are.
My family thinks I'm the odd one of the family. They think I'm totally weird. But I found this club and I found out I'm not the only one, so I guess I'm not so weird after all.
It's really great to go to a convention and it's like a family reunion.
My wife is here and she and I met actually in a Star Trek club.
I know a lot of people from around the state that I would have never met unless I had joined this club. So it's meeting people, it's about people.
What we do is we usually set up a recruiting table so that we can get new members to join the organization.
Recruitment happens every waking moment. Every time you see one of us, either in uniform or out on the street, if our mouth is open and breath comes forth, we're recruiting.
We belong to two international fan clubs, the United Federation of Planets International and the Romulan Star Empire. I'm Linda Thuringer. I'm the captain, and my Romulan name is Aoife Tillevette, and I am the commander of the Praetorian Guard for the Romulan Star Empire. Steve Mena.
I'm the first officer, and my Romulan name is Menhal Tra Laharan, and I'm the sub-commander
of the Praetorian Guard.
I'm the security chief for the Nemesis Station, and I'm also a member of Romulan Star Empire. My name is Terrace Tano.
I'm the chief medical officer on the Nemesis Station.
I thought at first that I was a little afraid to come to my first meeting, but it was just a lot of fun. But the thing is about this group is that it is unique. I think people are really educated that are in this group. They know a lot about science. They know a lot about what's going on in the world. And it's neat to be with people like that.
I think it's really fun because you can, because it's the only place that I can think of that you can goof off and grown-ups goof off the same way and about the same subjects.
Are you a Trekkie?
Totally. I'm just a Trekkie. Langwit is a Trekkie. Langwitjich. Langwitjich means I'm a Trekkie. I'm a traveler is really what that means, but close enough.
Are you a Trekkie?
Yeah, I'd say I am.
I am a Trekkie. Not card-carrying. I'm not the kind that wears uniforms all the time.
He is a card-carrying Trekkie. He has a credit card that says Star Trek on it.
At times I'm a Trekkie, and other times I'm a Trekker.
Every serious fan considers themselves a Trekker.
Trekkie versus Trekker. I don't even know what that is.
It's a generational type thing. The Trekkies, either saw old Star Trek when it first came out or started in with the reruns early in the 70s. The Trekkers, primarily someone who started in with Next Generation or forward.
Trekkers seem to be like snobs.
I'm not a Trekkie, I'm a Trekker.
Trekker sounds a little pretentious, but at least it's preferable.
A Trekker is, in fact, a Star Trekker. They are walking with us, right? The Trekker is motivated. The Trekker is in motion. The Trekkie is a sort of neutral, benign, harmless viewer who just wants to watch.
I am a Trekkie. Actually, we're called Trek-ins, but yeah, I am a Trekkie.
Are we going to take a trek? We're not a couple of Trekkies, right? Then we're watching the trek, but the Trekker then is coming with us.
A Trekker is somebody who enjoys Star Trek. They probably have a small collection at home. They're really into it. They go to Star Trek conventions, and sometimes they'll dress up, things like that. A Trekkie, they live their life according to the Star Trek laws.
I myself prefer Trekker, but I'm not quite as adamant about it as some of the other fans out there.
I don't really like the Trekkie Trekker labels because there's so much negative connotations associated with that. You say, oh, I'm a Trekker, and then people just start making all the rude comments, etc. So I'd rather, you know, be known like as a Spiner femme.
I usually just refer to myself as a Star Trek fan and just forget about this whole Trekkie Trekker debacle.
I met William Shatner the first time on The Tonight Show. I was fortunate enough to get the name of the casting director, and I sent her a package and found out that within a couple weeks after I sent that package that he was due to be a guest. They wanted me to come on and do a quick spot with him, which we did, and it was great fun. He was a perfect gentleman to me.
My name is James Kirk. I changed my name because ever since I was little, I always wanted to change my name to something I would enjoy, I would like, something more befitting, you know, my character. I've had a lot of ridicule, but I've had a lot of positive. A lot of people go, God, I wish I had the guts to do something like that, or just change it to something I would be pleased with. I go, you can. You can do anything you want in life.
I am with the Starship Riverside from Riverside, Iowa. It's a small town that's become famous because in the movies, Kirk actually says he's from Iowa.
About approximately 12 years ago, Riverside proclaimed the right to be the future birthplace of Captain James T. Kirk. And so far, it's been a big boom to the town. We have our Star Trek Fest the last Saturday at every June. We get anywhere from 3,000 to maybe 6,000 people to town. We have a parade, a carnival, a contest. It just really boomed to the town.
Hey! Jimmie, my boy!
Happy birthday.
We've been having this party now for years. It seems like every year it gets to be a little bit more fun. A couple more people come. You know, it started off small, and now the younger people are coming. And this year we had a girl come and everything. So, you know, I just foresee it going on and on.
It's just kind of a fun bonding thing we do out here. Every year I whip up my world-famous Romulan concoction. I won't reveal the ingredients.
You know, I like the Vulcan. The Vulcan's a very logical person. That's why I like Spock. And he's very logical. And with the conventions that we go to, there's a lot of Klingons. And being a Vulcan, it's kind of nice to kind of stand out in that way. And, you know, the Vulcans are obviously a lot bit smarter than the Klingons as well.
I drove down from Calgary today to take a look at the Starship Enterprise, the model that we have here in Vulcan, Alberta. I'm really impressed with the beautiful job they've done on it. And I think it's really great that here in Canada, the town of Vulcan has adopted the Star Trek theme.
We really enjoy having people from all over the world to talk with and share with us their stories of Star Trek and the things that they've been involved with.
I'm visiting Vulcan today because of the Star Trek convention. Obviously, it's a Vulcan community. My heroes are Spock and Tuvok and Spock's father.
Some people have fake or phony Spock ears, but I have the real thing.
It's been, as you can imagine, 30 years of an amazing experience, just one after another. I was at a party once many years ago that Paramount was giving a big promotional party for a number of their movies, and a lot of the stars of these various films were there, and I was invited. And the place was packed with people, and it was in New York, and I felt a pair of hands on my shoulder. And as somebody whispered into my ear, said, "I recognize you. You had your ears fixed." It was John Wayne. Everybody was doing ear jokes in those days. I got a kick out of that. It was fun.
There's a great deal of my personality that is Mr. Spock. I try to function on logic and intelligence and not get carried away with emotion. I do consider myself, as I say, half Vulcan. I did draw the line, though, at having my ears surgically altered to points. It was just too expensive. But I'll tell you the real truth. If I had the money, I would do it. I don't march to the regular drummer.
Mm-hmm. You would go through the pain of having your ears.
Yeah, I really would. Now it's not so much. Yeah, I really would. I like to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a unique way of being different, and it's a non-invasive, non-harmful way of being different. And even if I have pointed ears, I can still function in the world in whatever I do. It just makes me that much more different, and I would think in a positive way. But I don't think I'll be out, getting it tomorrow.
I would hope you couldn't find a doctor who'd be willing to do that personally.
This is Computer. This is, hi Computer. This is my dog. All this stuff that Star Trek predicted is all coming true. The talking computers, computers are better now than they were in the original series.
There are people that are intrigued by the speculative technology on Star Trek.
My buddies would have Cheryl Tiegs, Freddie Mercury, Farrah Fawcett posters in their bedroom. I had the blueprints for the Enterprise. I started to build this, Nomad. This is from the episode The Changeling, where the computer robot is gonna sterilize the Enterprise and destroy it. One of my other projects is the Romulan cloaking device. I started it here. As you can see, this is the main power generator unit. This is the round part here of the actual cloaking device. And I think I can modify it just like they did in the Enterprise incident. I can modify it for use on a Federation ship. I built a lot of stuff, like a communicator, phaser. The best one, the one that's the coolest, is the chair that Captain Pike was in after he was crippled from radiation burns. Well, this is Captain Pike's total life support unit. As you can see, it encompasses the entire body except for the head, and it supports life and takes him wherever he needs to go. The beautiful simplicity of the way it works is that you can ask him a yes or no question, kind of like a binary computer. And for yes, it's one blink, and for no, it's two blinks. So if you ask me any question, I can just answer with a yes or a no, just like that. It's motorized, so I drive it around. I drive it in parades and stuff. Hi, is Craig around? I think he set aside some stuff for me, some parts, an HP 12-volt unit and some transistors and a relay. I talked to Craig about my Nomad project, and he said I could maybe use the 3.9 ohm resistors or the 270s. Do you think I could get away with the 270s? For my next project, I'm going to build a dilithium chamber after I'm done with Nomad, and I'm going to build some anti-gravs too after that, maybe an M5 computer, and I'm going to connect my house with Jeffrey's tubes. I got a lot of projects like down the road to build. Star Trek, I think, has had a lot of impact on the future. I mean, we have cellular flip phones. They have nuclear-powered rocket engines already that'll, I'm sure, take us to Mars. And basically, all science fiction now is true.
Star Trek has always been a real fun part of my life. Matter of fact, it was one of the big motivators for me going to the Air Force Academy.
It encouraged me to go out and study. And being that Star Trek took place in space, it turned my interest towards things of a space nature, such as astronomy and astrophysics. As a result, I got both my bachelor's and my master's in astronomy, and I now work as a data analyst for the Hubble Space Telescope Science Institute.
I really liked Spock's mind, his logical mind, and that pushed me into a logical field, or at least it helped push me into a logical field, which is computer science.
It's unbelievable.
Oh,
It has
absolutely.
had such an effect just from an educational angle alone.
Oh, it's affected, I mean, all of us, all the actors have received so much mail.
I get a lot of mail from parents who tell me, we really appreciate what you did because you've provided a positive role model for our son.
I very much support the future that Gene projected as far as an elimination of hunger, an elimination of poverty.
I think that Star Trek has a really, really neat message. The whole infinite diversity and infinite combinations is something that's very attractive to all of us, and it's something that I wish the world would grasp onto as beautifully as the Star Trek fans have.
People of all races, religions, political backgrounds, sizes, shapes, etc., are all absolutely equal at a convention, and nobody is ostracized because they're different. And I think that attracts a lot of people because elsewhere in their lives, they don't have that kind of freedom.
Well, this weekend was great because I got to go to the convention and pick up some great stuff at the dealer tables and meet some of my favorite cast members from the series and get their signature, and talking to them, shaking their hands, just the most wonderful thing you can ever imagine. Well, I also got to meet a lot of other fans very similar to myself, and they're great, gorgeous people who really know how to place Star Trek in the proper context with the rest of their lives, and that's a unique gift for fans.
I met a very wonderfully talented lady who's a political cartoonist, English lady, named Sue Coe. But when she saw Star Trek, it gave her a vision, not of a world necessarily that she could live in, but it gave her a vision that it gave her an understanding that there were people who were thinking those thoughts, the people who were making the show.
The reason most of the people I know like Star Trek is it expresses issues that can't normally be expressed in today's society without somebody coming down on you or looking at you funny or hauling you off.
My father grew up in the Nazi era. He was in Poland when it was taken over, and because he was a German citizen or considered German, they were protected. When they came to the United States, he came to realize that the principles that he grew up with were wrong. And when we watched Star Trek, he would tell me, now the things that they're doing there is the right thing to think. The right things, you know, like treating people like they're equals and treating people with respect.
I would love to believe that everybody can get along in the future.
We struck a chord with the youth of this country, and particularly those who came back from Vietnam and the hippies.
Plus the fact that it came at a very turbulent time when the future of society, the planet, everything was up for grabs. Nobody knew where we were going.
For the first time, people on television, people saw themselves, men and women, as equals.
I think I like the hope and the chances that gives people.
Especially gay men and lesbian women. They living in a world and a society that's not accepting
there's a dream that one day down the road there will be acceptance.
I think Gene Roddenberry at that time offered a vision of hope and that we would have a future.
Not only did we not annihilate ourselves on this planet, but we are going forth. What progress? What with a sense of adventure.
Gene said not only there is going to be a tomorrow, but it's going to be a better, kinder, more gentle world tomorrow. And he'd like to talk about the things that bug us today, which was back in the 60s, and put them in some kind of a disguised form, because, of course, the network would never let us talk about things that were political or war or stuff like this. We couldn't mention the black-white problem. So you know what happened. We painted Frank Gorshin half black and half white, and his adversary was half white and half black. We set them at each other, and it looked so ridiculous up on screen that everybody had to look at it and say, hey, we get this.
I think this is going to be my basic prediction here, that Star Trek will become the blueprint for the 21st century. The philosophy, the ideals, the prime directive, they're all going to be a genetic map to, for a better future, a better tomorrow, for better mankind.
My feeling is that we've had a great time. We've had 30 years. There have been tribulations and trials as well as triumphs. But, the consensus is of a very, very positive nature. I don't want to be one of those people who's still talking about it 20 years. Well, it's 30 years after the fact. God almighty, I am one of those people. Oh, my God. No.
We would do these conventions, we'd say, well, it'll probably last another couple of years, and that'll be it, 10 years later, we were saying, well, it'll probably last another couple of years. 20 years later, we're saying, good God, it's going to go on forever.
I don't think that it will ever die. I don't think something like that can ever die. You've got a phenomenon. After all, this is our 20th century mythology. That's big.
I don't know. I hope it lasts forever. It's a good thing. As long as it's thoughtful, it's a good thing.
And remember, live long and prosper.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, all. God bless.
Good night.
I want to thank all of you for the stamp. And I want you to know I'm a Trekkie too. I love Star Trek. And all I can say is this. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Star Trek's truth is marching. His truth is marching. Ladies and gentlemen, live long and prosper. Thank you. Thank you.
I am a big Star Trek fan and got beat up most of my life for being a Star Trek fan, usually by sports fans, which I think is ironic because someone that's like really into football will wear the uniform of the game, a jersey, and walk around town, and that's fine. Yet, if I put on my Klingon uniform and go to Safeway, I'm a big geek, Excuse me, these yams have no honor.
I love their motto, we boldly go where no man has gone before. Then when they get there, there's someone waiting for them.
James Kirk is an archaeologist. Bones.
There's supposed to be this prime directive, you don't tamper with cultures. Because you're so advanced, when you land on their planet, you don't mess with any of their beliefs. You just get with that one thing you need and you beam out. He didn't pay attention to that shit at all, man. He would just burst into their hallway.
Your Bible is a lie. Everything you believe is wrong. Run, freak out. I'm the bloated God being from the sky.
There's always that one minority that gets beamed down that don't come back up. It's like, okay, Jim, Spock, Bones, Scotty, and Rodriguez. Rodriguez is dead. When they get down there, Jim goes, Rodriguez, check behind that rock. Regular kid, stand over here. Of course, there's a brain-sucking plant behind the rock. When Rodriguez say, hey, Jim, you check behind that rock. I lost 2 cousins on this show last season.
Remember the old one with the 3 brains in the jars? With the gambling problem? Remember that? I bet 400 quatloos on the newcomer. Where are you from? Earth. What's the spread on the UCLA game? A lot of quatloos on that.
One day you'll have Klingon comics. Worf is a comic.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here at the first Ice House on Klingon. Remember when you were in school and your teacher would anger you, forcing you to kill him? My father would be so proud of me, he'd hold my hands in the flames of Rokon.
Scotty, how are the engines? And don't use a metaphor. Aye, sir. The circuit board is cross-wired. Like a Christmas tree on the 4th of July. No, Scotty! The engines, Scotty, how are the engines? Aye, they're overheated, sir. Like a supernova in the middle of August with the windows rolled. No, Scotty, no metaphors. There's a simile, sir. No! An allegory. No! Can I tell an anecdote? The Klingons are here.
Oh, Wesley, little kid. 14 years old, he's never kissed anyone. There's a holodeck on the ship. Now, if I had a holodeck when I was 14, I never would have left the thing. They'd have to send Captain Picard looking for me. Where's Weinhold? He's in holodeck 1. Doors open up, I'm climbing out of a giant... It's time you saw Counselor Troy. This is Counselor Troy!
The city streets are dark and cold along the Hudson.